Welcome to another episode of the Metal Queens Podcast, where we celebrate the women who bring power, passion, and raw truth to rock and metal. I'm Steve Richards. Today's guest is the fierce voice and lyrical force behind Scarlet Rain, a band that blends classic hard rock soul with modern, hard-hitting energy. From deeply personal lyrics to spine-tingling screams, Scarlet Rain isn't just music, it is an emotional journey. Joining us, frontwoman Carrie Anderson, songwriter, self-proclaimed mosh-pitting boss of the band. We're going to talk about that later. And they've got now 4 albums under their belt. The latest, the brand new record, Bad Monkeys, is out now. Scarlet Rain is turning heads, and they are cranking it to 11. Carrie Anderson, welcome to the Metal Queens Podcast.
Hi, thanks for having me.
It's great to have you here from Utah. Well, for listeners discovering Scarlet Rain for the first time, Carrie, how would you describe the sound of this band?
Yeah, I guess that's a question we get asked pretty often, and it's really hard to answer it when you're so inside of the music. But I think a lot of the times we're compared to like a Hellstorm
Yeah.
or Evanescence, which I can kind of see that, the comparisons to. But I mean, as far as like other bands that are out there kind of in the scene, when we, brought our bass player Jason into the mix and he's, coming in with those really heavy death metal background vocals, I don't know of a lot of other bands that kind of have that kind of dynamics with their band. So it's kind of hard to place us, but I think we've been calling ourselves alternative metal. So I think
Yeah.
that's what Spotify refers to us as. So yeah, that's kind of the genre we're sticking to right now.
How did you get into metal and music, and how did you get into this band?
Yeah, so Scarlet Rain has been together since about 2012. Me and my husband Derek, who's our drummer, are the only 2 original members. So yeah, we've been hitting it for a long time, and it kind of just started out as like a little side project. There was 2 local bands from Tremonton that wanted me to step in and just do some female cover songs. It was actually Hellstorm, Familiar Taste of Poison.
Mm.
And so, me coming from like a very staunch Mormon background, I'd only sung in like church choirs or, at church. And so I wasn't used to singing publicly. And in fact, I was like terrified of doing karaoke. Like I wouldn't even sing during karaoke, but I finally was just like, I need to get up there and, go from singing in the car to myself to like publicly. And so I agreed to do it. And then I had so much fun. I kind of asked those members of those bands, I'm like, hey, this was awesome. Do you guys want to keep doing this project? And then it just kind of spawned from there. So I grew up with a pretty intense music background in my life. My dad was always in bands my entire life. He's a writer. He plays guitar, he plays bass, drums, saxophone, trombone, and has a voice of an angel. So I've always had that musical influence in my life. So yeah, there's
Yeah,
always been music. So
working in radio and following Salt Lake a bit throughout my career, it's always been Salt Lake and Utah, a great rock city, rock radio city for years, some legendary stations there. How is the rock and metal scene in Utah today?
it's pretty intense. There are quite a bit of hard rock and I would say metal bands that are in the area. Um, yeah, I think the last time I looked, there was like over, I want to say 150 bands just from Salt Lake to the north point of the state where we're at.
Mm.
So it's pretty concentrated. There's a lot of people that like rock. I guess there's a lot of people here that like to play rock and be in rock and heavy metal bands, but the state is fixated on country. And
Mm.
so, yeah, country is kind of the thing that, the people in Utah want to listen to. So yeah, it's kind of hard to get a lot of local support out for rock and metal bands in the state of Utah.
You're known for writing lyrics rooted in personal experience. What usually sparks a song for you guys? Is it emotion, a story, or a moment that just won't let go?
Yeah, so our writing process is pretty awesome. We kind of just start out in the band room. The 4 of us are together. somebody will bring in something they've written on the guitar or like a bass line. And then the boys will just kind of like have a jam session, and I'll sit there with my phone and just record like the stuff that I'm liking and hearing. And so then I can come back into my office and just a lot of the time it's just kind of whatever melody like the guitar or the bass has. It kind of almost gives like the feeling to the song. And then it's just a matter of me sitting here with a glass of wine, and then I just start writing and writing and writing until something feels like it just sparks something inside of me, and then it just kind of spills out from there. But yeah, usually a lot of my stuff, like you were saying, is just based off of life experiences and, maybe something I'm feeling or thinking about. A lot of my songs are politically motivated, as far as I need to get out feelings and thoughts and anger about the political atmosphere that we live in. And so there's usually a few songs on each album that we write that are, more on a political nature. So it's also therapeutic for me as well.
Your first few albums are self-produced. What did those early DIY experiences teach you about yourself as an artist and leader too?
Um, it taught me to just pay the money to go get it produced, and from a professional that knows what they're doing. If I could give any words of advice to anybody out there that's looking to produce their first album, or yeah, I mean, back in the day, this is, 10 plus years ago. And
Yeah.
so at that time, we're all making barely more than minimum wage at our jobs. And so there wasn't a lot of money to, put into the album. And I look back and, well, I listen back to those albums and just think, man, I should have just got an extra job delivering pizzas, do whatever it takes to get a good quality producer and a master and a mix on your songs, because you don't want to have to go back and do it again.
And speaking of a good quality producer, a great quality producer and mixing and mastering, Bad Monkeys involved producer Randy Slough and mixing and mastering in Aggressive Audio. How has working with an outside production team now changed or elevated the Scarlet Rain sound, do you think?
Oh, night and day. Like there's just no, it's just a complete 180, switch on our sound. Like, I mean, you can hear it from the two albums too. If you listen to Bad Monkeys, you've got the production there. We've got all the background sounds, and Randy Slaw was just amazing to work with. Like he was able to just go in there and, just give us that extra boost to help us sound that we had a full professional sound. And it's been night and day, and is well worth the money. I would pay double for that.
The title, Bad Monkeys, and by the way, the video, the costumes too in the video for Bad Monkeys, it is instantly intriguing, Carrie. What's the meaning behind Bad Monkeys?
Yeah, so Bad Monkeys, kind of the concept behind that is that we as humans are the bad monkeys. And as you can see in that video, like I was saying earlier, a lot of my stuff is very politically motivated, my writing. And so that's exactly what that is the video, the kind of the concept I just was dreaming about for about a year before we actually recorded the entire thing. But like the more I thought about it, and the kind of the concept I wanted to portray was just like, we're all bad monkeys, right? Because we're human,
Yeah.
we make mistakes. But then for some reason, we elect the worst of the worst bad monkeys to be our leaders. And so, obviously, when you watch the movie, you can see it's just kind of a play on them taking money from people, destroying businesses. We go in and, take the money from the lemonade stand. And so, yeah, I mean, on the surface level, it's this fun, lighthearted, funny video. But down, if you dig a couple layers down, it's just like there's a lot of meaning behind even just the scenes in that video, and then the lyrics as well. And yeah, it's just kind of a call out as, we can be better. We need to do better. So
Scarlet Rain has seen lineup evolution over the years. How has the current lineup helped solidify the band's chemistry and identity too?
yeah, we've gone through a lot of growing, I think, in the 12, actually longer than that. It's like 13 years that we've been a band. When we first started out, we were kind of, I would say, more of like a Southern rock, type of feel to the album. And then you can kind of see if you go from the first album to Mirai and then to Bad Monkeys, you can kind of see that that growth of us kind of going into more of like a metal type of sound. Um, I guess the biggest kind of change is when we brought on our new guitarist AJ Hansen, and then we brought in our bass player Jason Steinlicht. Um, we just seemed to just kind of all of our writing just kind of like elevated into like more of that metal sound, and then of course having Jason on those background vocals, which I've always wanted. Like I've been praying for a backup vocalist for a long time, and so to have him on there is just taken Scarlet Rain to a whole nother level.
You have shared the stage with bands like Royal Bliss, Wayland, and Cage Nine. What's the biggest lesson or two that you've learned from playing alongside national touring acts?
I think personally, just me as a lead singer, you're kind of the front man, woman out on the front of the stage. And so I guess any kind of concert I go to or watching other bands that we're playing with, I'm always paying special attention to that front person and how they interact with the crowd, and what does the crowd respond to and what do they not respond to. So I'm constantly trying to take in kind of their show and their energy to make our own stage presence even better, because there's so much room for improvement all the time. So I'm always looking for ways to get the crowd more involved and just interact more. And Neil from Royal Bliss is a really good example of that. He has such amazing interaction with crowd, and so I'm always constantly taking that in. And he's been a really good example for me to just be that bigger, better, more interactive front person for the band.
Carrie, what's the best thing about performing live?
Man, best thing about performing live. And I don't know, this might sound a little bit weird, and it's more of like a personal experience for me, but when we're on stage, and it doesn't happen all the time, but every once in a while, I almost get sucked into this tunnel where nobody else kind of exists. It's like almost slipping into a different realm of like reality or a dimension. But like, it's just the most crazy, amazing feeling. And I don't know if anyone's ever said anything like this to you before on this podcast, but yeah, it's almost like everything else disappears. Like the band isn't quite there, and I'm just kind of in my own thing. And it's just like a really powerful place to be. And I don't even know quite how to explain it, but it's just like I'll get done singing the song ends, and all of a sudden I just like zap back to my reality. And it's like, oh wait, I'm on a stage, there's a crowd, we're playing for people. And yeah, I don't know, it sounds like a weird, freaky kind of experience, but it's something that I don't know, it's just really powerful to me. And I'm not sure where I go, and I'm not sure how I get there, and I'm not sure how I get back, but yeah, it's always a super cool thing when I can get into that realm.
Yeah, it's almost
myself.
like you get into the zone. It almost sounds like a
Yeah,
pitcher in baseball describing, that they get into the zone, they blank out the crowd, and they're
yeah,
just so laser focused. Yeah.
yeah. It's a crazy, yeah, it's so hard to explain. I don't know how else to explain it but to say that. But yeah, it's a cool place to go because it's just you and the music, and it's just this beautiful energy, and I love being there. And that's probably my favorite part about performing.
Mm. I mentioned earlier, and I wanted to come back to this, you're the self-proclaimed mosh pitting boss of the band. And be honest, what's the fastest way to make Carrie not happy on the road or in the studio?
Um, oh gosh, I don't get angry very, very easily. Gosh, probably I don't even know how to answer that. I'm pretty even tempered, I think, most of the time, but I guess things that make me upset is somebody not being treated equally or being treated justly, or like something that's not fair for everybody, or just kind of injustice, I think, is something that always gets me riled up pretty hard. So
What do you hope listeners feel or walk away with after hearing this album, Bad Monkeys, from front to back?
man, so there's a lot of emotion. I think just in that album itself, there's a lot of different themes that are coming in. Actually, if you look at this is the actual painting of our album
Yeah.
behind me. So you have the Bad Monkeys. That's obviously the title song. But behind the Bad Monkey, you see that there's a vulture. There's two vultures here. And so that's for the song A Vulture to Feed, which is kind of a song about being torn and held down by the man almost. I spent a lot of years in a very terrible work situation, and I felt that it was just like ravaging my soul. And so that's what that song was kind of about. So I wanted to incorporate that into this painting. But then you also see at the top, there's almost like a phoenix figure. I don't know if you can see that very well.
Yeah.
And so it was almost like I went, so A Vulture to Feed was the very first song that I wrote on that album. And I was in a very angry state in my life. And then it kind of almost just transitioned to, by the time I hit to, the Phoenix in the background, I had done a lot of soul searching. I had done a lot of personal reflecting. And it was almost like I came out of this cocoon and I was like, I don't have to be angry anymore. I can be calm. I can be this new person. So even through that album, I'm just like thinking through all the songs that I wrote. There's a lot of like, it's a lot of the themes are about growing and progressing to a next step, taking the anger, feeling it, and being okay with feeling anger, and anger's okay, but you also have to be okay with moving past that before you get any kind of personal growth. So that album, I feel like it was kind of almost like I'm coming out of my cocoon and I'm going to be this better person, and this is my transition to get there.
So the big album release last year, big year for you guys. What's coming up this year in terms of new music, any more, and also touring plans too?
Yeah, so we actually just started writing. I want to say we wrote our first album kind of right before we went on our last tour in October. So we actually have two songs ready for the new album. We usually like to group the songs together, so we'll like write 3 songs and then go record them, write 3 more songs and then go record them. So we're currently working on ideas for a third one. So hopefully we'll be back in the studio, I'm hoping sometime this summer. We are trying to plan a tour out to Wisconsin this year. There's a couple festivals that Curtain Call is lining us up to play. So we're in the hopes, I think probably 1st of June, we'll be touring out to Wisconsin, then and also hitting some shows on the way back. So yeah, we're pretty excited to hit the road again. So
yeah, make sure you follow Scarlet Rain on social media for updates on tour dates and more new music coming too. And check out their music everywhere you stream now, including the latest album, Bad Monkeys, which is out now. This is a band built on honesty, power, and pure rock energy. Crank it up and support heavy music with heart. Carrie, thank you so much for joining me here on the Metal Queens podcast.
Yeah, thank you, Steve. It's been so much fun talking to you tonight. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Same here. They are Scarlet Rain. I'm Steve Richards. Thank you for watching. Like it, share it, subscribe to it, write a review. This is the Metal Queens Podcast. I will talk to you again next time.